It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week we're celebrating Madame Webruary. Webruary?
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we'll tell you why we're going to be celebrating it here in a little bit. Millie Alcock joins Supergirl in the DCU. I'm trying not to say Alcock because it's not Alcock. I watched it, Mike. She's Australian. It's Alcock, I believe.
Well, I'm glad you looked into it.
Because I'm like, oh man, we're going to get flagged for saying that too much in this. But anyway, Supergirl cast in DCU, which is great. Krysten Ritter is teasing a return to Jessica Jones in the MCU. Wink, wink. And more.
That is perfect timing, Chris, because the car alarm outside
Yeah.
just stopped.
Oh.
So you vamped just long enough to...
Hell yeah. I didn't even hear it.
Oh, no, it's back now.
Oh.
Everyone can hear it. You know what? Let's just go ahead. We're going to just describe the environment going on outside my window right now. We are in for a ton of rain, a big storm that's hitting the West Coast. I think almost in the entire state of California, which is pretty impressive considering how long the state is. So I think the Weather Channel is using the term called atmospheric river, which is not something most Southern Californians have to deal with.
That's not real.
So everyone has been saying prepare yourselves because this part of the country just can't handle all this water all at once. So recording right now, this is just kind of like the start of it all. Mm-hmm. Everything's very ominous outside. The wind's picking up. It's raining a little bit, but the entire city is apparently going to be flooded over the next couple of days.
That is funny because we are in the opposite in that here in the Midwest. We've had gray, overcast, rainy days for about 3 weeks now. If not the entire month of January. So when the sun came out for the first time Thursday in weeks, it was like I felt like a whole new person. I was like, oh my God, I feel good. I'm not depressed anymore. There's sunlight here doing it. And I was saying yesterday, I was able to go out. I washed my car. I haven't washed my car in forever. And today I was working in the garage with the sun on me. It's been nice. So we're on the opposite end finally of that. So, it's going to be a great show when we start the show talking about weather, folks. That's all I can tell you right now. just talking up that weather. I'm actually going to open up a drink, Mike. I didn't tell you about this. So I went to Costco this morning because the Super Bowl is next weekend, right? And you got to get that stuff for it so you can get that nice thing. And they have this drink company called CHI Forest there. So I have a sparkling water, and it's lychee fizzy flavored sparkling water. And I bought a case of this and fuzzy peach.
That's nice and all, Chris, but there's a gigantic elephant that occupies my mind now because I learned something just new 10 minutes ago from you yourself. And I know usually at the top of the show, we talk about stuff that we watched throughout the week or cool stuff that we did. You're usually disassembling or reassembling some sort of arcade cabinet. No. None of that. The top of the show is now I am cursed / blessed with the knowledge of what Hooter's Sangria is. Sangria.
You are all welcome for this.
Now, my mind went through a couple different paths when you told me about Hooter Sangria. First I thought, is this are they making a hard seltzer now? Because, JCPenney's basically has a hard seltzer now.
Oh, I love the Kohl's hard seltzers.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe it's something different. Maybe they're actually making a sangria. And then I was like, okay, it could be something with the restaurant. And then you laid it on me that they have their own formulation for what their sangria is, and it is red wine. And you're just, if you're listening, you're never gonna guess what the other half of their sangria. I want to give everyone
Hooters.
just a second here.
This is Hooters. Yeah, you could probably guess it.
Just think about it. So you're making sangria. Let's say you're at a Hooters. You don't have it on the menu yet. Somebody orders it. Well, what am I gonna do? Okay, well, let's go get the red wine. Should we put some fruit in it?
Check.
What else should we do to pad out this sangria? And 3, 2, 1. Chris, let him have it.
It's Mountain Dew. It's just 50% red wine, 50% Mountain Dew. And we made some, and I actually just finished it off. It was pretty good here. We were drinking $9 bottle of red wine and then 120-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew between us.
You know
it was
what?
Great.
I think if you are going to make this, which I encourage people to do because I do want to try this, and I think this would be amazing for the Super Bowl parties next week. Yeah. I think you're almost obligated to find the cheapest red wine possible. It seems you're doing a disservice to find anything that's somewhat nice. You want the whatever is in a weird, fun, quirky cardboard package. Didn't they have like wine in like a boom box at some point in time?
Yeah.
Like,
well, when my wife went to get groceries, we can't buy liquor here until 1:00 on Sundays in Kentucky, which is weird. So we couldn't get any. But I was like, get something in a box. Whatever comes in a box or a bag is gonna be the perfect red wine for this Hooter Sangria to really, give it that flavor that you need at the end of the day. It adds extra to it. And then she said, what else would we go in here? I'm like, well, fruit. She's like, well, maybe some cherries or orange slices. I'm like, no. You go get the cheapest fruit cocktail can you can get at Kroger, and we'll just dump that in here too. Like, we're just gonna put the lowest bar of ingredients here, but the finest of the Mountain Dews right on top.
I love it. I wish I could take this knowledge with me back in time to college because I feel like this could have been very helpful back then. Because
you'd have been the life of the party. People would have been like, "Oh my God, who is this magician with these drink over here?"
I mean, after a couple semesters, you kind of get tired of trying everybody's jungle juice. Like, everybody thinks they got the best jungle juice, but everyone's making it the exact same way. The cheapest clear spirit that they can find. And then just some sort of, like, Kool-Aid extraction that they're coming up with. Like, no, we missed the point all along. It was Mountain Dew and cheap red wine. Yep. So if anybody out there is very familiar with this and maybe they have historical knowledge, maybe they worked at a Hooters, I would love to know, is this a recent concoction? I want to know how long this has been
How
out
long
there.
have they been saving money on this $20 sangria they're charging people?
Yeah, because this kind of reminds me of if you're at a bar or maybe like a smaller restaurant and you're ordering a ginger ale. You can make ginger ale or something comparable with Sprite and like a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, and the color kind of evens out into something that looks like a ginger ale as well. So I like these creative problem solvings with the soda gun.
Oh yeah, I mean I now, again, we talked about this before. Like, what kind of, like, I've got all sorts of Mountain Dew flavors in my closet. I'm like, ooh, can I go get the Voodoo from 2023? What will that mix with? Well, what kind of red or white should we do? You mentioned Baja Blast and a white wine, Mike, to really, bring it up a notch. So now I'm going to be trying all these pairings together to see what works best. We might even start a new channel. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Superhero Sangria, and the new channel from us down the road.
Don't worry, I'll grab the domain name, but it sounds like we're off to a good start. This week, people, get your Super Bowl parties ready. Yes. And we'll be out there spotting, looking for the trailers and running them down next week.
Yes. I don't have anything in the news for trailer, but I keep getting more and more reports that Deadpool 3 will be a trailer in there. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like down the road, but I don't have anything else. But what I can hit you with is a fact here. Everybody pause the episode here in a second and immediately run to your local theater to buy your Madame Web tickets, which are now on sale, because those seats are flying fast, Mike. I don't know how anyone else is going to be able to get tickets to see this movie here in a couple days. Have you got yours yet? I know you did. I know you probably got 4.
I'm Chris, I'm listening. Yeah. I went to my website right now, so we think so. Wednesday, is that going to be the opening night?
It is, the 14th.
14th, or theoretically, could you go on Tuesday?
I did not see any Tuesdays. I only saw the Wednesday screenings.
All right. Okay, Madame Web, I see at 10 a.m. Can you imagine going 10 a.m. on Wednesday?
Yeah.
So
taking the day off work.
All right, I'm going to look at this 7 p.m. right here, and let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, more seats than I thought would be sold, but still not a lot. I was expecting a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, anecdotally, no one had bought mine whenever I got mine the other day in that theater. I jumped on it pretty quick, but no one had gotten that. yet, and they are so not prepared for this. Normally, there's two parts. The Cinemark usually has an XD screening, right? It's kind of like their big screen. New movies get it. Madame Web doesn't have an XD screening. I have to go sit in a regular movie theater to watch Madame Web. They're not even getting the XD treatment.
So I just realized that I don't want to be too harsh to any specific listeners out there, but this might be a self-selecting group, Chris. If you are going to Madame Web on Valentine's Day, there might be a reason that you're going because you got nothing else going on. I won't be going on Valentine's Day. I don't even know.
We are
maybe like a Saturday morning would work well for me.
We're going on Valentine's. It's a Wednesday. My wife's a teacher. We are not going out to do anything on a Wednesday for Valentine's Day. We will celebrate it another day thoroughly. So I'm gonna say, we might be in that group, but there's a reason behind it. Like Wednesday is not good for going out and doing things on those days. So we're gonna hit this movie up. Obviously, it's probably gonna be, I think, under 2 hours. So. Should be pretty quick. But the other part of this, shout out to if you haven't joined the Cinemark fan club or whatever it's called, where you get it's like $12 a month. You get one movie pass, and then discounts on all the snacks at the theater. Didn't cost me a dime to watch this movie because I had free tickets saved up from the last 2 months. So absolutely a steal. I feel to just use those credits at the end of the day here for this. I also wanted to go on the record and say that, what's her name? Dakota Johnson, is that her name? As the actress. She's been out doing promotions. She might be on, Sydney Sweeney was on Hot Ones, but Dakota Johnson was on SNL. So they're out here doing things to promote this movie that other, actresses would do. But they have kind of confirmed that this movie, Madame Web, is a standalone Spider-Man film, meaning they've removed any indication of connections to other Spider-Man films and have firmly set it in like 2002, 2003 era. So.
Yeah, it seems like they've been doing the most pivoting that they can with what they have after they've already shot.
Yeah.
I even heard somewhere, I don't know if this is like confirmed or just a rumor, but apparently Dakota Johnson dropped her representation in Hollywood right after the first trailer for Madame Web dropped. Yeah. So, and if you just kind of also watch her appearance on SNL and just the interviews that she's been giving, you can tell that she's just like, she knows what this movie is going to be already before anyone else gets a chance to see it. So at least everyone's in on it. This isn't like, I kind of got the vibes more like Jared Leto thought that maybe Morbius was going to be something more than it was.
Right. Well, it's like Tron 3 coming out. I'm excited about everyone in that movie but Jared Leto, right? Like I feel, Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, I can't think of the other two actresses' names. I don't even know who the dude is who's playing the villain, but like, they're at least leaning into it a little bit more, and I'm excited for that. So we'll see how this turns out. I've got no expectations, so I'm just here for a good time. Maybe I can get the theater to make me some Hooter's Sangria to enjoy while watching this movie. Probably they won't let me bring my own in for that, but we'll see. February 14th, tickets now on sale. Let us know if you guys are going to go see it or do something else. But while we're in Sony's wheelhouse, if you will, El Muerto, the movie that had Bad Bunny, is rumored to still be in production, pre-production, early production, whatever they want to call it, at Sony, without Bad Bunny as the main character, which I think takes the draw out of this movie completely, because I'm like, I'd like to see him do something weird with Spider-Man along the way.
Yeah, I mean, apparently he is a big star. He's kind of fallen out of my purview. But when Universal Music Group removed all of their music from TikTok last week, all of the headlines were just like, Taylor Swift's music's gone, Bad Bunny's music is gone, and he was always billed in like the top 2 or top 3 in those headlines. So he must have like a really popular catalog if he keeps showing up in these entertainment headlines.
The Hispanic market is huge with that. Like you can see him everywhere, and that's kind of what they're targeting with this, right? Like El Muerto is like a luchador kind of thing in the Spider-Man world, and I always enjoy this. I always see this acronym out there. But it's a part of the SPUMM series of films, Mike, which is Sony Picture Universe of Marvel Movies, is what it stands for.
Oh my God, SPUMM!
Yeah, the SPUMMverse.
That is perfect. The noise that pronouncing SPUMM makes is nearly a perfect encapsulation of what they're doing with their Spider-Man properties. Like
it's self-fulfilling prophecy,
we all know
right?
It kinda, it's like we all know it kind of sounds like something that we're not gonna say, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
SPUMM.
Yeah.
Does anyone own SPUMM.com? Let's find out.
Yeah, probably some.
I'm a little worried where it might go.
Incognito, please. Please, while we're on the show, Mike, we want to make sure you get
No, it's some sort of welcome to NGIX. If you see this page, the NGIX server is successfully installed.
Bummer, SPUMM. Dang. Maybe we can figure out another way to get SPUMM in there. Some sort of maybe it could be like a subdomain of us. We could set spum.superheroslate.com.
Is .um or .mm, is that like a country code? Can we buy SPU.mm?
Possibly. That's a great question. We're gonna have to look into this. We've got a lot of internet ideas today on the show.
I'm doing the Who's is lookup.
Oh
right now,
yeah, okay. So we're just
seeing if there's the owner is in looks like San Mateo, California. I'm not getting it.
Yes, fine. So the SPUMM universe, multiverse, if you will, now includes Venom. It includes Morbius. It will include Madame Web. It'll include El Muerto. It'll include Kraven and the upcoming Mysterio and Dr. Octopus movies as well, if they come to fruition. So, it just feels like the right. They named it so perfectly. They knew what they were doing. They were like, we're gonna SPUMM all over the place. So, yeah. Anyway, if you're interested in El Muerto, good for you. It's coming, but sorry that you don't get Bad Bunny. You'll have to settle for some other person, I guess. Anyway, Mike, let's shift our Marvel gears into Captain America 4. I forget what is actually Brave New World. The name of this movie has changed so many times. I don't even remember the actual name of this. But the obviously the Funko boxes continue for all the Marvel properties. My wife unsubscribed me from them a while ago, so I don't get these anymore, thankfully. Because it's a problem. But the new artwork on Amazon shows Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, in his new Captain America outfit, which leans into an actual Captain America outfit, not the white one we saw at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. But this is very blue heavy, with the accents of the red and white, Mike. And I don't know if there's any validity to this, but this is some promo artwork coming out. Obviously, it was supposed to release sooner than later, so I think that we're going to see some of those leaks. But what do you think of it? What would you think? I'd like to see this in action. I think I like this more than the white one, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it does have more of a resemblance of the original Cap costume. I'm especially looking in like the torso area when it kind of has like the vertical stripes going up and down. But I mean, that kind of is like par for the course. Like, we've been trained that every iteration of Captain America, whoever it is, there's a new costume every movie. They're never going to bring the same one to the screen.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I mean, I just yeah, exactly. And to be like, again, obviously that's Anthony Mackie's face with his red goggles on. So I'm curious if someone, like, is that really a painting, a drawing? Is that really what's going to be in this? Or maybe is that his final suit? Does he start with the white and then upgrade to this one, right? Because they always usually have 2 to 3 suits per movie. The heroes do. They change, minor alterations sometimes. But I would love to see this in action, and hopefully we get even though it is delayed, see something sooner than later. They can start teasing these movies a year out.
I mean, it makes sense that we're seeing it now, right? This movie was supposed to be coming out soon. Was it a March release or was it a summer release?
It was a May. It was supposed to be the May release. And I think it's like even like maybe even been even like you said, March and May, but like everything is shifted around so much with the strikes and everything. It's really hard to keep tabs. Yeah,
but whenever like these, because this is printed material, right?
Yeah, that will be on a box. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of these like consumer products have to be made, so far ahead of time. So like there's a chance there could be like a big spoiler floating around out there, like on a pallet wrapped in cellophane somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like, well, don't open that just yet until the next part-timer comes in that wasn't trained just right, and they just rip it right open. What's in here?
You can kind of see it through through the plastic wrap a little bit. You're like, what is going on over here?
Yeah.
and you're just trying to make it out. My guess is, again, the biggest rumors I see online all the time are Red Hulk is going to be in this movie, and it's going to be Harrison Ford. Who knows if that's true or not? Marvel likes to tease us and throw it away, so it could just be a red herring, unintentionally pun on the red part, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll get a look more. But the other part was, I hear we've talked about they're doing some reshoots. They're not necessarily retooling the movie per se, but maybe fixing some parts that they can in post production. That's Bob Iger's directive. Fix what we can. That's why Daredevil's getting rebooted, redone. Captain America 4 and same thing. But I heard that they're going to remove the Serpent Society from the film, which is crazy because I would have loved to see them as well. Maybe we'll get it on some deleted scenes or something like that. But I also can't see how, if it is a Red Hulk movie, and we heard the leader is going to be in this, I don't see where the Serpent Society falls into this. It could just be too many villains for no real reason along the way either. So
yeah, they just if you're a listener to the show, everyone knows how we feel about Anthony Mackie. So
yeah.
I feel like all of the effort on our end, if they asked us, we would just be like, can you just make us like him?
Yeah.
Because we just can't figure out a way to do it. We want to. We are very invested in your movie universe, but we just cannot get on board with Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, and I think he's great when there's more people in there, but like as the main character, like I'm just not that thrilled, but it's nothing personal. Maybe he does a great job. Maybe they've written it well for him, and there's enough supporting characters along the way. But we'll see. Blade is another movie that has had probably more release dates than anything else along the way, and even less updates. But the latest update is that the Blade movie is a period piece in I believe the 1920s, and will be rated R. So we are still shooting for that rated R period piece Blade movie, and it will reportedly focus on Lilith getting Blade's daughter's blood to create an army of daywalkers for her to control in the 20s. And she will wield the Ebony Blade, which we saw at the end of the Eternals, which will tie in that down the road. So it looks like they're still keeping that in mind here. But this sounds pretty cool. I'm excited to watch Blade, and especially a period piece Blade rather than a modern one.
I love the idea of a period piece. The furthest we've gone back, really, if you don't count the Eternals, which that was a progress through time, so we're not really ever settled in one kind of period, was Captain America, the first Avenger, and that was set pretty solidly in World War II. So it'll be kind of nice to really detach ourselves from a lot of the characters and heroes that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
We can you can kind of like tell your own story, but then set seeds for something. I totally forgot about the sword, so I think that's a pretty cool inclusion as well. But I always like thinking like these like big brain, like how does the world work in the MCU? Because I think that's the reason so many people got drawn to the universe, because it was one big like just thought out world that we get to live in. So if this is happening in the 20s, I suppose we are to believe that these monsters and ghouls and demons have been around for eternity, and we haven't heard of them before.
Well,
so
I would say Werewolf by Night does set that up a little bit for us as well.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember, because we were led to believe it was like a period piece, but then at the end it was
black and white, then it got color at the end.
So it was present day, but that was a society that had existed for a long time.
Right, exactly, and they can tie into right. There are people out there who have been taking care of these creatures that they aren't known, right? They're the little bit of the sprinkling there, and I think. We don't have confirmation. What I think is cool about the 20s is there's no technology, right? Like there's hardly any technology in the 20s, right? Cars were still kind of new. Things were not as good. So we're going to see a lot more, I wouldn't say maybe horse and buggy, but like we're not dealing with modern technology, right? We don't have nanites attacking vampire blood along the way. So we're getting a lot of sword battles and like a lot of hand-to-hand combat still, which I think will be great. And then my other thought process is this in Europe, right? Because that's where a lot of those myths start.
Yeah. Yeah, and there'll be like rudimentary firearms. We're not going back to like 1800s, so people will still have like handguns and rifles and stuff. But it'll make Blade's sword feel a little bit more powerful than if you put him in present day. He'll still have the sword, and I could theoretically see him deflect bullets with it because he's super powered, right? But you have to
that's essentially
stretch the leaf a little bit more.
The one they did right in the late 90s, early 2000s was that kind of blade where they had the light bullets, the UV bullets, and everything. So at least I still enjoy that one. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into this, see the past stuff. Between this and the rumored Fantastic Four being set in the 60s, we've got some really good, fun stuff on our plates to dive back into the history of the world, if you will. With that, so we'll keep you guys posted as more Blade updates hit the street. Daredevil Born Again is going to be on our news for like the next month, if not more, Mike, I feel, because they are out filming it, and there's set photos and all this other fun stuff. And I'm not going to cover anything that, oh, look, they're on set filming. That's boring news to cover, and that's everywhere. But what I want to talk about is a couple things, is that the report is the rework of the show has led to an increased Punisher presence in the script. So John Bernthal will have more scenes and more like a subplot where he's fighting. Again, we talked about this, fighting cops who are using the Punisher logo, in ways that he didn't want that to be used, kind of thing. So I'm excited to see more John Bernthal presence in this new show. Really extend that Netflix universe forward, if you will, into this.
Yeah, Punisher's a great character specifically for the MCU, right? You don't have to worry a lot about his like superhero origin in a way. He's just a well-trained killing machine that you just hope you point him in the right direction and he does a little bit of good along his path of destruction. So I think he's going to fit in great with the show. I'm trying to remember, was he in any previous seasons of Daredevil, or am I just imagining?
He was in season. He made his debut in season 2 because there's that thing where he tied him up on the rooftop with the chains.
Yeah, that's right. Man, that whole universe, it feels like it's so far in the rearview mirror. And then plus the Defenders kind of splits it up kind of 2/3 of the way through, so you kind of forget who met who when. But yeah, it'll be exciting. I gotta go find a recap video for that second Punisher season that I never saw. Probably got to rewatch the recap video for season 3 of Daredevil because I kind of forgot what was in there.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And what would be cool is, one of the cool things it would do is if they release this in April of 2025 on the 10-year anniversary of when it came out on Netflix.
Wow, 10 years. Oh
yeah,
God.
right. That's why I'm like you forget like season 2. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that long. It was actually almost a decade ago at this point. So, which is crazy. The other part is actor who Eben Moss-Bachrach, who is in The Bear, and he was in Andor. And he's actually rumored to be playing the Thing in Fantastic Four. Remember, he was the microchip guy in Punisher season 1.
Oh yeah,
he was not a huge actor then, but like, there's a great character you can bring back, right? An actor with some weight if they don't use him in Fantastic Four. So there's some cool stuff from the Punisher series that they can pull forward into that. The other part of this is, we talked about this last week. It could have 18 episodes. It could have less. Hell, it could have more. But with them increasing, like, more of these characters like the Punisher, and we're going to talk about possibly Jessica Jones returning. They could really keep 18 episodes and really flesh out Daredevil Born Again as like that true extension of the Netflix universe, right? With all these extra characters, and give them some time to breathe here. And but speaking of which, there is Krysten Ritter was on Instagram, a video wearing the same shirt as Jessica Jones, and the caption was IYKYK, which stands for If You Know, You Know. So my guess is she's going to be back filming, Mike. If not flashbacks, maybe flash forward, or new scenes as her character in there. Jessica Jones was one of the characters, I think we all agree had a really, really strong presence, really great addition to the Netflix universe for someone who I would say a lot of people were not familiar with beforehand, and continue that. So I think it'd be interesting to return back to Jessica Jones in this universe.
Yeah, I mean, if we are thinking of a longer episode order, I mean, that would kind of be a fun way to break up the season. You know, there's like a small arc with Punisher, with Jessica Jones, hell, maybe even Luke Cage.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
Yeah. I was speaking of Blade and Luke Cage. I was reading about what was it? Mahershala Ali was the villain of the first half of the season of season 1 and was killed off very surprisingly. So I was like, oh, that was a good season. And then also Jessica Jones is the other character that got three seasons on Netflix before they wrapped it up. So I'm excited for Daredevil board again. I know we've got Kingpin, we've got Punisher, we've got Daredevil, we've got possibly Jessica Jones, anyone really, but Iron Fist, and I'd be happy, I think, along the way. And we've said that before. But we'll keep you guys posted as more of that comes on. Like I said, I'm not going to share every time they film scenes on the streets. We know they're filming. They're going to be filming forever. So we'll keep you guys posted. X-Men 97 is probably the next MCU property we're going to see on Disney+. It's rumored, the 10-episode series is rumored to drop possibly weekly mid to late March on Disney+, which is right around the corner, which will be a nice gap in between Echo, January, and Deadpool 3 in July, which is great. And some of the new artwork that is leaked has depicted the 8-bit or 16-bit video game episode called Motendo, which where Jubilee and Sunspot get sucked into one of Mojo's video games, if you will.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that was gonna be an episode this season.
Yeah. So in this artwork, we get to see essentially Super Nintendo versions of Jubilee, Colossus, Sunspot, Magic, Cyclops, Storm. I want to say that the bottom one, second one over, is Havoc, maybe, and then the first one is I forget his. Yeah, he's a Mojo World. He's got 4 fingers or 3 fingers on his hand. I'll think of it later. But I just really want to play a Super Nintendo game, like in this art style, like a modern game with like this art style right now, like how they redid TMNT Shredder's Revenge, the side scroll. Like take the X-Men arcade game, give us these character skins, and do a sequel to that on our consoles.
Yeah, it makes me think of one of the earlier Marvel vs. Capcom games. I don't remember which one it is, but one of the earlier ones. The like art book or like the character bios. The way that the X-Men are drawn are so cool. Like I specifically remember there's a version of Rogue, and she's like kind of in this like all green like kind of costume. It looks so cool. I've always been like hunting down like a Marvel vs. Capcom like art book back from that era because the characters are drawn like so sick. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I would love to see this. These comic book characters, the colors, they translate so well to pixel art. And this is a good shout out for Marvel, the Marvel Snap game, which has a new season launching Tuesday. They have pixel artwork for most of their characters in there. You get variants of pixel artwork you unlock. So I think I like to collect those. Those are pretty fun to look at. But yeah, check out that in our show notes. We got that picture there for you to take a look at. What if season 3? We actually just talked about this last week with the unveiling of the mech suits and the Red Guardian versus Goliath, but reports are that season 3 will revisit the Eternals, Mike. The second time we brought up the Eternals in one episode, if you can believe that. A movie I've not thought about or watched in forever. I might put that on in the background one day. I think it's not too bad. It's not the best thing in the world, but boy, I've seen worse lately. But what if the Eternals never stopped the emergence? Would be the what if episode.
So I would assume if the emergence, if I remember right, was to go through, the Earth would be entirely destroyed, right? The Celestial would have eaten the planet.
It would have. I don't know if it would have. Yeah, like they would have emerged from it, and I think it would have broken in half, and then what would have been their next journey, right? Because all the Eternals are always just sent out to the next job, really, after they're done, after several thousand years.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Maybe we'll run across like a Peter Quill or something out in the galaxy, and he finds out like, oh, you can't go back there; it's gone.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, and actually, Ego is a Celestial, right? His dad, even Peter Quill's dad. Mm-hmm. So that could be lead up for some of that. I think there's a great opportunity for what if to explore the deeper cosmos, the weirder stuff in the MCU than they have. You remember Thor: Love and Thunder had the idea of eternity as a character at the end of it. Like where's the eternity and there's a whole pantheon of gods that fall under that eternity thing. So like, why not visit that a little bit more, right? Like, give us some of the weird space god stuff that they can't touch on in live action, because it gets really confusing really fast along the way. I think that would be interesting. But yeah, what if the Eternals never stop the emergence? I don't know what that next phase is. Are there some humans that live or not along the way? I don't know. It'll be fun. We'll let you guys know. I think season 3 is closer than they're letting us believe, but we'll see if that hype lands. Let's shift gears into the DCU, Mike, with new casting this week. And if you've seen our thumbnail, you'll understand that Millie Alcock, who was in Game of Thrones, was it House of the Dragon? Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Who played the young Rhaenyra Targaryen, has been cast as Kara Zor-El in the upcoming DCU franchise.
Yeah, we even got some confirmation from Gunn that he was like watching Game of Thrones, and he was like, hey, I think she'd make a pretty good Supergirl. And then that's kind of the end of the story, which is kind of interesting, because I think we always maybe kind of assume there's more to it, like, oh, this actor has been on their radar for a while. Their casting agents have like a short list, and they were kind of circling around them before House of Dragons even came out, but wanted to see how they did in it. But like, apparently, no, he was just like on his couch. He's like, yeah, that'll make a good a good Supergirl. So a little more straightforward than we thought it was going to be. Yeah,
well, and that part of the story that he shared has caused a lot of controversy online with people who were like, well, you technically lied to us, because he said, I think when he took over the ECU, he's like, yeah, we're going to keep everybody. We're going to, not that he could keep everybody. He's like, we're going to keep Supergirl and The Flash, because he said The Flash is the best movie he's ever seen, Mike. You remember that? Remember when he said that to us? So a lot of people, like, Sasha Kaye, she was going to continue as Supergirl, but, like, the fact he's like, oh, over a year ago, I'd already recast her before the movie came out, was kind of like people like, well, you lied to us along the way. So
this is the perfect example of why just put your phone down, James. You don't need to respond to every question out there in the world. You are the lead of a major Hollywood studio. Just don't worry. Like, I don't want to say these people are beneath you, because it sounds like so classist, but like, you got a big job ahead of you. You can't be taking the time to like comment on every little casting thing.
I would even say don't comment on, but like, confirm it and move on. Don't add your flavor text, because you're gonna dig your hole, right? Like, if you would just like, congratulations, Millie, we're glad to have you in the DCU, moved on, everyone would be like, yeah, good job, confirmed, we don't have to worry about this anymore. But no, there's some controversy involved here. But back to the action. I've not watched House of Dragon. I'm not a Game of Thrones person. It's not for me, but I'm sure she can do a great job. She's an up-and-coming actress. I've heard great things about her performance and her portrayal in that show. Mike, you've watched it, I believe, correct?
So she's great in it. I haven't seen anything else from her. I don't know what direction that they're going to take Supergirl. I mean, I'm not a Supergirl like expert or anything, but I did have to just peruse Google Images so I could make our thumbnail this week, and a lot of the Supergirl imagery, at least out there online, is it seems to be a very positive, bright, cheery, smiley character. And I can't necessarily say the same for Millie. When I tried to look this actor up, like every photo shoot, every red carpet, a lot of just like, kind of like glamour, like red carpet, catwalk face, just like kind of like, brooding to the camera, with which no shade there. But her character was also extremely intense in House of the Dragon as well. So it's hard for me to imagine like a smiley, like optimistic superhero. But I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet. So that'll be kind of a fun surprise. I'll be looking forward to maybe seeing that in a trailer, in the near future.
Yeah, I'm going back a couple weeks ago. We had some talk about Supergirl being. They said they were going to be kind of out there, like edgy and like in space, like doing a lot of space stuff, and sounds a lot like Captain Marvel. Not that it's going to be the same, not that they're even in the same, but it sounds a lot like kind of how Captain Marvel was, right? Like very, non-conforming, if you will, for attitude, and then also being out in space dealing with that. I would love to see more space stuff. I know James Gunn's not writing or directing this, but he'll be able to point in that direction. But he has got a lot of work under his belt with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Slither, dealing with aliens and how they interact with on Earth. So I'm this is fine with me. I have no qualms. I have no hard feelings either way, if you will. But that's exciting. We got some confirmation, and it said it's up and coming actress to play the role for that. So we'll keep you guys posted if anything else comes out of that. More set photos, Mike, on our list here, and we have they are filming Penguin. They resumed the Penguin show for Max, and set photos reveal a more costume accurate evolution for Oswald Cobblepot. And can you tell what it is in this photo, Mike, that is more accurate out of these photos for Colin Farrell's character?
Well, I just got distracted on the third photo because it seems like his character is always around a flipped over car. But is it? Well, it's got to be the same nose because he had a pointy nose, and it's not like that's going to change.
Nope.
Is it the vest? Is he wearing a vest?
It's actually the jacket. The fur-lined jacket was not in the Batman movie, and that's more of a a characteristic of that character. He's always wearing one in that. I was hoping that one of these he was going to have his cane in his hand, right? Or a monocle. Because eventually he gets to the cane and monocle. Because I was looking, I'm like, what is this? We're looking at looks like maybe an explosion on the street. There's a lot of rubble, debris. He's covered in dust. In a lot of these, I was like, oh, which one is it? But it's just the fur lined coat, if you will, on this. It's so wild to me that that's Colin Farrell. They've transformed him that much to play this role. And to continue, not just in movies, to do it in a TV show too, right? That's not this a lot.
Yeah, it's like the Batman was great too. Yeah. I want to go back and rewatch it and give it another go. I liked it the first time around, but I just haven't had a chance to settle back into it. But yeah, I'm excited for a sequel, see more Penguin. It's just funny that some of the best stuff happening in the DC right now is not really connected to anything. You have Joker, which is its own little 1970s universe. You have this Matt Reeves Batman, which is just floating elsewhere, out there.
They're all Elseworlds, so you're right. You're halfway there.
It's like this new thing. It's just all right, I guess.
Well, what's crazy to me is there's this, and then there's upcoming. What's the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Paramount coming up. It's that they're doing these TV shows to fill the gaps in between the sequels. So the Penguin is to tell us the events of Gotham between the Batman and its upcoming sequel film, and the same with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there's to me there's this crazy idea that it's not crazy. I think it's a cool idea. I've just never seen it done successfully. Is that there's these movies and then the TV shows are filling in the gaps in the middle of it along the way.
I don't know if I just have preconceived notions because, we were kids that grew up in an era of where if anything ever went from the big screen to the smaller screen, it was always cheapened, right? Especially with kids content, right? You'd start with a big old movie and then it would get a TV show and I'm thinking Jimmy Neutron started as a CG movie, then they put it on Nickelodeon as a TV show, and then it's just it doesn't look as good, obviously, because you can't render things as long on a TV show, and it can't look as good. You can't put as much detail in it because they're just cranking out numbers. So I'm just always just I'm hunting for the quality. So yeah, if the stuff that's getting put on streaming, that bridges the gap of the series, if it can reach to be as good as what I saw in theaters, I'll give it a shot. But if not, I'm just going to pass on it.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, we watched the Batman on Max anyway. So, we don't have to worry about it being in theater. But yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I think this is one of the premium, what they call premium content, premium shows where they spend a lot of money, they spend a lot of time. I think the Penguin will fall into that fairly easily, simply because they've got the same cast back, right? This isn't a character we've never heard of, right? Doing a story, we didn't meet. It's got I think a huge name. I don't think Matt Reeves is directing it, but I think he's pushing the direction of the show. But it's just wild to me that they're doing this. We don't even know what the next movie is really about. We don't know anything about it. They're already going ahead and filming the show, but they haven't told us anything what's going to happen with the Batman 2. I don't even think it's filming yet. I think, it's just, I'm hoping that we'd be closer along, if you will, along that way. But, we've got the opposite happening we don't have it here, with The Mandalorian, right? Going from show to movie along the way. So that'll be interesting to see the opposite coming up a little bit. But yes, check out the set photos of the Penguin here. Take you to our show notes and do that. Peacemaker. This is one of the first notes I made last week, Mike. I was for Peacemaker. James Gunn, obviously, out doing his thing, telling people everything. Was apparently writing episode 8, the finale for season 2, last weekend. So that means that he is wrapping up the show, I guess, and then maybe they can get into production. Maybe spring, summer, you think?
I mean, are they still? Did they shoot that Amanda Waller show?
I have no idea about that one. No,
because we were told that we were supposed to be getting that first, and then
who was writing
the
that
Peacemaker show. I haven't heard anything about it. Maybe Amanda Waller's streaming Max show will get a commercial at the Super Bowl, and we'll be like, "Oh, forgot about this." Yeah,
let's see here. I don't see anything else going on with this. It'll be part of this. Who's the cast and creators? Viola Davis is returning. Yes, we know that. James Gunn and Peter Safran are producers. And Crystal Henry, who worked on the Watchmen series. They'll be writing that along with Jeremy Carver, who worked on Doom Patrol. So the writing may be done on that, actually. We just don't know yet. Hey, can someone tag James Gunn in something? Tell him that, Waller is not really a real TV show and they hate it, and maybe he'll respond to it saying it'll work, kind of thing. But the other thing Gunn did say when that came out, we're using the same actors. This isn't a continuation of Peacemaker. This is a continuation of Peacemaker. I'm working on Superman, so we can't do Peacemaker season 2. We're working on Waller in between, but he's working on Peacemaker season 2. I'm so confused as you are, Mike. What is happening here? What is real in this situation? What is coming out? When is it coming out? How can we see it? I'd love to get our eyes on it and go for a ride. But the other thing he did confirm, that Batman will not appear in his Superman Legacy show or the Peacemaker TV series. So they're not casting Batman yet, Mike. I don't even know who I'd cast Batman at this point.
I mean, do you try to open up a wormhole and pull in Robert Pattinson's Batman, who seems to be doing a pretty good job? Probably not. Yeah. I don't think we're there. Well, we're there yet. But
the movie is Batman Brave and the Bold with his son Damian Wayne. I don't think that Batman would gel with having a son at all, right?
Yeah, it's just like he might be daddy, but he's not daddy. If you get what I'm saying.
I don't. Tell me. Can you explain to me? Hold on, let me get a Hooter Sangria and explain it to me.
Bust out a notepad. Let's get to solving this mystery.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like Gunn is like so paranoid and like worried that the internet is going to build up this Superman movie more than it already is, because we already know so much is riding on this film being good and successful. Because imagine this movie coming out and bombing and panning and everybody hates it. Like, how do you start a whole universe off of like that one bad movie that has like such a big target on it? So I suppose he's out there on the internet too much, and he's seeing people like building up or throwing out like false rumors that like, oh, Batman's supposed to make a cameo. All these people are supposed to make cameos. He's like, I don't want people going to this movie with these high expectations and they don't get to see Batman and they think the movie's bad. I think he's overthinking it, but I got to imagine that's what's going on in his head.
So the other part of this is, I think we talked about it months ago. Maybe if not, it's been about a year since they announced the slate. Is that not only is the reputation of the DC writing this, but financially it is writing on this, right? Because the studios, they spend, a couple $100 million to make these movies. And, we know Warner Brothers, they're saving money. We've heard that they might be in dire straits financially, right? They may be spending more than they're making, and they can't afford to have a failed launch for Superman Legacy. So if all these lenders are like, okay, we're going to give you some money for Superman Legacy, if it bombs, we're not going to give you enough money to make the rest of your franchises. Like, we're going to pull the plug on everything because you're not making money back, and this was a bad investment. So I think I agree with you. There is a lot of probably pressure and stress on this to be successful and land this. And I don't think it will financially be a flop, but critically, there's always a chance, right? Critically, it could be a flop. But
man, my brain is starting to spin out. So last week I rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that movie kind of all hovers around the idea of kind of the Western starting to die out, and people have compared the superhero kind of grip on Hollywood to Westerns back in the day, and how eventually the superhero movies will go the way of the Westerns. That's kind of been like sitting in the back of my head a little bit. I don't know if I believe it entirely because the media landscape is just so entirely different now.
You know how many Westerns they made back then? Like literally they were pumping out one a day. I think that's an exaggeration on that, but go on, continue.
But it does make me think, right? So I'm just imagining a world where the Superman movie that's coming out next year, right?
2025.
I believe. Yes. 2025. Okay, so I'm imagining a scenario where that movie is bad, right? And on top of that, there could be one or two Marvel projects that come out next year that, if they are consistent, they might also not be great. Or they could have one of these newer properties that we have been told, oh, we've retooled this, this has been restarted from the bottom up. This is part of our new push for quality. And then somehow that also ends up either being bad or nobody goes to the movie theater to go see it. We could kind of start to see, the superhero movie in the noose next year and the floorboard starting to get pulled out from underneath it if some of these movies don't hit big next year. And I don't think it necessarily relies on them being good, but also just financially viable, right? The tone during the Phase 3, the highest peak of the MCU, when everyone was excited for Infinity War and Endgame, was it's feverish. You go out and you see comments online, everyone's like excited. Everyone's waiting to see how it's all going to end. People are making memes and shipping characters together, right? I hardly ever saw negative comments. Either people were participating positively or just not participating. And now I see headlines out there on the internet about, just any XYZ movie coming up, and you go look in the comments and I just see people going, LOL, people are still watching these. Now, it's just one internet comment that I see occasionally, but the tone out there has totally changed. They cannot just rely on the hype train anymore. That train's run out of gas. Now they have to come to the table with solid quality material. So all that being said, I'm glad I'm not James Gunn. So I guess we're building up his psyche. I feel like we're trying to get the notes of what's going on in his brain. What is the inside out Pixar version of James Gunn? What is a man? That's all we're trying to figure out here on this podcast. Yeah. So that's why you should subscribe. Come back next week and we'll dive into the hidden ego of James Gunn.
But I think it's to that point, if what we talked about with the financials is true. And he has been hired to be, this role, his reputation in Hollywood is on the line as well, right? He has already gone through an up and down internet ride, being fired from Marvel, being rehired by Marvel, doing DC movies, bouncing back and forth. He reminds me of some sort of Kevin Smith, if you will, like a modern Kevin Smith, in this thing. And I really, I think, he's done great work. I'd like to see it. I think he can be a little too into himself and what he does sometimes. We talked about Peacemaker, great show, but there were moments where this is really self-indulgent. I think some of the Suicide Squad was as well. So whenever he's a little unrestrained, it comes off as such. But you're right. There's a lot of pressure. Not only is it your job, your reputation, but all these other people you've hired to write and act and do all this stuff. They rely on you to be successful. So he is carrying the weight of not just himself, but everybody else underneath him and who is hired and working for DCU along the way. And I don't want. Personally, I think you agree, Mike. We don't want to see anybody fail. We want them all to be awesome. Everything should be good and should be given the chance to be good. So we're not hoping for failure on that behalf. We just, have to be, when the whole point is when James Gunn comes out and starts saying stuff online, we're like, oh, just shut up for a bit. Just don't say anything.
You know how long it's been since I've seen a good Superman movie? Yeah. I want to see an awesome Superman movie that I leave the theater just singing the praises of. And it is funny though. I feel like we've been talking about James Gunn now for like 15 minutes, and you notice how we never have these same conversations about Peter Safran or at same extent of like Kevin Feige, because we just don't know anything about them like personally wise. Like they just let the work kind of speak for themselves. So I feel like James Gunn, just for his like longevity and his mental health, I feel like he should just do the same thing.
Right. Be mysterious and just put out good things, right? Like that's cool. I'm cool with people being mysterious and putting out good things. You know, it keeps that mystique about it, if you will, a little bit. Like I couldn't tell you anything about who's the guy who did Spider-Man movies?
Mark Webb?
No. The new ones. The new ones. It's not James. I want to say James. It's not James. Well, anyway.
Got it. No, this is the perfect example.
Right, yeah, exactly. So he did 3 Spider-Man movies, which broke billions of dollars in for Sony and Marvel. And do you ever hear anything from him? No, he's out there. He's just making the movies, getting it done, doing a great job, and moving on. Right, like he was hired for Fantastic Four. He left it to go do Star Wars because that's what he wanted to do. He may come back for Spider-Man 4. He may not. It doesn't matter. He can do what he wants because he. And we're never gonna know because he's not out there doing things.
And that man is named John Watts.
John Watts. There it is.
Google it. Actually, this might be slightly different. I feel like if you were a director that has made like 3 of like the biggest like action like superhero movies of all time, like. Maybe you should try to be a little bit more of a household name, just overall, because I feel like a director is a little bit different than a studio lead. But either way, same. Like you can't be controversial if nobody talks about you. You know,
James Gunn has been that way since before he was the DCU lead, though. Like when he was doing Marvel movies and Suicide Squad, like he has been the same way, right? Like there is no change on that. So I think. At the same time, like, you know, it's fine. But you're right. We don't go watch a movie because it's a John Watts movie, right? We watched, you know, the James Gunn movies, if you will. But I was looking up here trying to find out how much money has John Watts brought in. 1.1 billion plus 900 million plus another 2 billion. So he's a $4 billion director over there easily. So good for him for not running his mouth online, or at least, you know, engaging in conflicts or, you know, stuff like that. Not that James Gunn is, but you know what I'm saying. Like he's just out in the shadows doing his thing. All right. Well, we always know how to pad an episode, Mike. Thank God for the Peacemaker section. Moving into
I forgot that topic was supposed to be about Peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly.
We just talked about the existential future of superheroes in general.
Yeah, exactly. And where does Peacemaker fit in this? Because boy, we don't even know. So I'm gonna fix my time code here. But yes, at the end of the show, has anyone seen all the new Universal Orlando things, Mike? I think you did, right? All the announcements they made out of this.
I watched the little announcement video. This is fun. I wasn't expecting to talk about this on the podcast, but this is going to be a fun kind of period to the
I love going to Disney World, and I never go to Universal in Florida because I just don't care. A lot of that stuff's old, right? 90s stuff, broken down. You've even mentioned maybe on the show or in passing in our chat, so there's A and B versions of rides, right? Like if A is broken, it defaults to B, right? Along the way. And a lot of those rides in Universal are on their B modes because they can't get the A ones to work anymore. So they've Universal Orlando has unveiled like a new retooling of their parks, and they've really focused a lot on, I think it's Super Mario World and Harry Potter, but also a couple new ones, including the Dark Universe, which, if you forgot, was a very, very short-lived quote-unquote franchise by Universal that started with The Mummy, and I believe then they tried to do it with like The Invisible Man. I think that was getting a sequel with The Wolfman coming up here from Lee Winnell, but they are going to do a Dark Universe park at Universal where they have Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and we've got some concept art from that here in the show, Mike.
Yeah, I believe it's like a collection of 5 parks, if I remember right. It's going to be Nintendo Land is going to be new. It's going to be a new Harry Potter land. We're getting How to Train Your Dragon, this Dark Universe, and then I think there's kind of like a main kind of celestial park area, like unbranded, just kind of entryway that
the
connects
epic
them to the mall.
universe. The epic universe is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
In
and
2025.
And I think this dark universe is fun from the perspective of, especially if you live near theme parks like I do out here in Los Angeles. Like right around Halloween time, the billboards go up, the advertising gets cranked to 11. They want you going to these theme parks during Halloween so you can get scared, so you can experience the retheming, the retooling of the attractions. They have special stuff at night for Halloween, and people come from all over the world to go to like the kind of like these scare parks that get spun up just for the holidays. So it is kind of cool to imagine, are they going to have one there all year around? That's going to be so cool. Yeah. And in the concept art for this land, you're kind of supposed to be going through like kind of like these grand entryways. I think they call them like portals when you enter these universes. So it'll be kind of cool to be in like a traditional looking kind of like theme park, and then you step through like a kind of like a big archway. Maybe you go through like a tunnel or something like that.
It's their epic portal is what they're calling them. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's like this kind of gothic, dirty, maybe grungy, like Victorian. Like I want it to look like I just stepped into the Bloodborne video game. Mm-hmm. That would be so cool. I love that idea. But the art that we have here, they look cool. I mean, this is very kind of classic looking Universal monsters. Like if somebody told me like, I repainted some artwork for, from back in the 50s or something. Yeah. That's kind of what this look like.
And what's cool is, to me, these are actual photos, right? You see people in their costumes that they're going to have there. Because you look at him, it looks like Frankenstein's monster. He's got all the stitching. He's very, very scarred up. Wolfman, very kind of, I would say kind of like Teen Wolf a little bit, right? Like very hairy, like very fuzzy. And then Dracula, very like, regal and sunken eyes and all that stuff.
I never even considered like the walk around character aspect of it. Of they gotta have like dark alleys in this universe, right? I want to see like something smeared on the brick wall that like that's probably blood, but they're probably not allowed to say that it's blood legally since children are allowed to walk into here.
Yeah. So so there's the dark universe. You mentioned How to Train Your Dragon. I know there's like they're opening up like a DreamWorks part of the park too, right? To focus on their DreamWorks stuff. Like Kung Fu Panda and stuff like
possibly. I mean, it's hard for me to really nail down what's happening at Orlando in Florida because I've never been down there personally. But it sounds like what they said in this video is they're trying to make it, quote, like a trilogy of a vacation. Yeah. So, like, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you have to get tickets to 3 of their theme parks. You have to go to Universal Hollywood, which is, I think, where you go to, like, Diagon Alley for Harry Potter. Then you have to go to Islands of Adventure to ride the Hagrid roller coaster, and then you'll have to get a separate ticket to Dark Universe, or not, Epic Universe, to go to the new, I think it's going to be like a Ministry of Magic type of
it's a Paris, it's a 1920s Paris style Harry Potter.
Yeah, so they got 3 parks down there, similar to Disney. They got like 1,000 parks down there too. So this is exciting. It's weird that like to think about how much work and money and construction that goes into building something for all intents and purposes is like, why would you ever go to all this work just to make money? But it's fun. So this is exciting. I've never been to Universal, like I said, down there in Florida, but it sounds like now you can make a whole meal out of it. It's not just let's pop over there for one day,
Yeah, and here's I just want to make sure I wasn't wrong. So I looked up the DreamWorks thing while you were talking, and DreamWorks they have an entrance. They have a new entrance there, so they're adding Trolls. They're doing Kung Fu Panda. They have Shrek. They're building Shrekland down there with Shrek's house and everything.
Can you visit the swamp?
Yeah, you can visit the swamp, and then something else called Gabby's Dollhouse I had to look up, which I think is like an animated kid show. So like they are absolutely going all in the DreamWorks IP down here at Universal as well, because I think they have Marvel stuff. I don't know if that has a clock or not on that east of the Mississippi, right? So they may be planning to lose the Marvel stuff to Disney or get them bought out or something like that. But this is making me more and more excited to ever want to visit Universal, because I don't care to go to Universal, but I would love to go to Shrek's Swamp, or visit the DreamWorks lands, or go over to the Epic Universe and do more kind of Harry Potter stuff. So this is to me, again, not that corporations need to be big enough to have all these things, but this is a really cool thing to expand the theme park experience. I know you are a big fan of Mario when you went last year, and with the upcoming Donkey Kong track ride where it makes you look like you're actually jumping off the track. I think was that in Japan or somewhere like that, I believe. Or was that out with you?
Yeah, they're building it somewhere. There's like 3 Mario lands like concurrently being either worked on or already opened. But yeah, the Donkey Kong ride looks sick. And that's what Mario Land, or I guess Nintendo Land technically needs. Because out here in LA, it only really has one like honest ride. So we need that Donkey Kong coaster soon out here.
Exactly. And I think you have to have a new Apple Vision Pro headset to use that new ride, or that ride out there, right? Because you have the HoloLens.
Yeah, $3,500. Don't worry, they'll sell them to you at an inflated markup inside the park, just $7,000.
Yeah, only $7,000, and that doesn't include a carrying case or the battery. But I digress. But yeah, absolutely, Dark Universe. I think the Universal Park thing, that'll be fun to have a little bit of a horror bit, right? The scary stuff in there. It'll be cool. But Mike, that is the show. That is this week's show. I'm excited. Next week we're probably gonna have to record a little early. We normally do an after Super Bowl thing, but we haven't done that in a few years, if I'm gonna be honest. But we might record a little early. We'll keep you guys posted what we're gonna do for that, or maybe it's later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, maybe where you're, I guess maybe not. You show us your snacks, but tell us about your snacks next week. Where can they find all that good stuff at?
Yeah, if you want to read my webcomics, what I'm doing out there on the internet, visit liferewardsrisk.com or pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you and find out when you're chugging your next Hooter Sangria, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems of the same name. If people want to know more about the show, what we're doing, where they can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where can they get all that good stuff at?
Oh, as always, all you got to go is to superheroslate.com. That is the headquarters for everything that we do here at Superhero Slate. You can find us on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you'd love to listen to fine podcasts. We got merch, superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. What are your existential future thoughts of superhero movies at large? Please send your book report to us at Superhero Slate, and we will read it. We'll give you notes, we'll grade it, and we'll read it in its entirety on the podcast. I'm making empty promises, people. If you want to be a super fan of the show, it's really easy to do. All you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.